Hello and welcome to this episode of Healing Out Loud. I'm Amanda, and today I'm sitting with the beautiful Fiona, and she's here to just bravely share her story of her son Cam. And I've known Fiona for a couple of years actually, so we go way back when the water safety days. And she's so lovely, and I contacted her in regards to this. Although this is such tragically heartbreaking story, um, Fiona, you are quite very inspiring, and especially around the stuff you've done in the past in regards to like water safety in your area and stuff, like that. And so, Fiona's gonna go ahead in a moment and just share her story, with Cam. So this podcast is about real stories. It's about real people, real grief. It's also about love. So it's not just about sadness. It's not just about tragedy. Because that's what grief is. It's love, and that love has no physical place to go. And so today we're going to begin not with just loss, but with Cam. He who he was, the memories that um make you smile and about him and just honouring him really, because that love does continue. And as always, this is just a little gentle reminder that some of these stories that are in this podcast may stir something in you, those unwanted emotions. So please do take care of yourself. Make sure you've got that support system there as you listen. But do pause if you need to, and you might have to grab some tissues maybe. But yeah, so let's begin. So thank you, Fiona, honestly, for just being here with me today, because your story was one that was quite gripping. And of course, at the time, I was on that journey of sharing water safety, and I came across you. I can't remember how I came across you, but it really gripped me. Did your story? It brought lots of emotion up for me. Um, but we'll start with Cam's life. Yeah, let's begin. Let's begin with love, shall we?
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit about Cam?
Well, what was honest to God, I've never met a funnier kid in my life. I mean, out of all four of mine, Cam was the one that would light up a room when you walked in. He had this really infectious smile. Um, and he just laughed all the time. He was like so full of life that the thing he did when he came in from school every single day without fail with his dad was run up to him and wrestle him to the floor. And it's like, yeah, and it's nice, and it's like it's them kind of things that you just think, oh, you're missing out on that now. But anyway, um he was so full of life. He was really like, he loved his friends. He spent a lot of time out the house. Um, Once you got him out, because he was one of these that loved his Xbox, so you had to
Yeah.
prise it out of his hand, to make him go, to make him go out, and he'd make his friends wait for him for like an hour or two before he was ready to go. But once he got out, he just didn't come home. It's like he didn't let anything bother him. He never, um, yeah, I don't know. He was just really, really friendly, really personable. Um,
It sounds like very independent.
Very independent, a bit too independent at times.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was very independent. But he was lovely. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't one of these people that went out and caused trouble or was nasty with other people. He always thought about what other people thought about his actions. So he wasn't a horrible person. He was lovely. And you know what I mean? He smiled he was always smiling, smiled all the time.
Infectious smile. I love that.
Yeah.
You see all his
Yeah.
teeth.
Not that he liked it too, because he had to have a brace on because his teeth were all wobbly,
Oh,
but
did he?
but yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
So, what are some of your favourite memories of him?
Um, do you know, it was just the way he went about his days. He never did the same thing every day. It's like he'd go in the garage and he'd grab these big sponge things that we had in the garage, and he'd put them in the garden, and he'd do parkour all around the garden, like a you know, if it was to jump off, it was to jump off, or he'd be spinning in the garden. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, you know, or on the trampoline, or he got a scooter, and he loved this scooter. He got this scooter for Christmas, and by 8 o'clock on the morning, Christmas morning, he was in the skate park, and he
Oh,
was, because to him that was his only time of having the skate park to himself.
oh, yeah,
So
so
you
early.
yeah, so he loved it. Um, and then he started making a little bit more of a hobby of it. So he started entering competitions and stuff like that, and he got really, really good. Um, so yeah, it's things like that. Like it's him coming in shouting, "Oh, I've done this trick today," or "I've managed to jump off this building," or do you know what I mean? Just I've run up this
Oh,
wall, climbed this tree, because they were always climbing about. Typical
oh,
boy. But
yeah,
yeah, it's like it's that. It's you haven't got that laughter in the
yeah,
house now.
yeah, yeah. Is that that's like the missing piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
And the
how would
girls.
you, yeah, and the girls as well. I
The
bet he had
girls.
lots of
We
girls
always had
chasing
different
after him.
girls in the house. It was
Did they?
crazy. Never just one. You'd have to have a few, but you just picked and choose
Oh,
which one you wanted. Wow.
oh, bless. And how would you describe him if you had 3 words to choose? How would you describe him?
Funny, loving,
Yeah.
um, and a little bit erratic.
Erratic.
Yeah.
That's like my Scarlet.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
just
I love that.
he'd just do things just off the spur of the moment thing. He'd be like, "Oh, I need to go and do this." Just go. He was so erratic with like certain things. I just
Yeah.
need to go and jump off this skateboard thing, or and he'd just go and do it just to prove to himself he could do it. So it's that. It's like the
Yeah.
spontaneity of him. But yeah,
Oh, I love that. And what made him laugh? Like, what kind of things made him like belly laugh or chuckle?
pinning his dad to the floor probably.
Right.
It's like because he could do it, and his dad was like more than happy to have this wrestling with him. It's sort
Mm,
of it was their way of like enjoying each other's company.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was the rough and tumble of him. That's what made him laugh. As if somebody was being rough with him and play fighting with him, he'd belly laugh till they finished. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, Lee Evans, loved Lee Evans as well.
Oh,
So
I love Lee Evans.
yeah, so we
He's
always
funny.
say
He's retired now, hasn't he?
yeah, but
I don't think
we
he
always
does
said
go
he's
anymore.
like a little version of him. So he's
Yeah,
quite a comedian as well.
I can
He,
I can literally picture him in my mind, especially with the Lee Evans, because I love Jim Carrey, just like the silly stuff. So Lee Evans
yeah, Lee
is
Evans and
just
Jim
amazing.
Carrey. When they did them
Yeah,
Pet Ventura video movies, like
yeah.
certain things that were said on there, Cameron could recreate. It's like, oh
I
my
love
God, seriously.
that.
But yeah,
Oh, I'm obsessed with it. I was like when I was younger. I still am. If it's on, it goes on TV. But Jim Carrey, Lee Evans, love it. I actually went to go see Lee Evans. It was one of his last shows. But oh my God, belly laugh.
yeah,
He would have fun. Well, he still is, but just a funny guy.
yeah. I
I
mean,
love
because
that.
he was quite tall, he was tall, he was really tall, tall and skinny. I don't know whether you've seen on the internet, there's like a little green alien that dances around like really stupid.
Yeah.
Well, he used to recreate that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, got it down to a
Yeah, I
T.
have
It was
seen that. They do
hilarious.
that. He does that stupid dance, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, he did that. So it's like things like that. You like, yeah, loved it.
Oh, I love that. And what do you miss about him the most?
Just his presence. To be fair,
Yeah,
like we're missing out on him because obviously now we've got grandkids in the house.
yeah.
Um, and he'd love her. You know what I mean? He would dote on Imogen the same way that the other lads do. But Cameron was totally different with babies. He idolised
Oh, were they?
babies. Yeah.
Oh, you're
Um.
very quite loving then and affectionate.
Oh, very, very. So yeah, it's just him being in the house because all you know. I've still got everything that he had, still got all that stuff. And then you look at it and you just think like, why? I mean, he's looking at us right now and I'm sitting here, he's sat there in front of us. But yeah,
You'll
it's,
have to show us a picture of him at the end,
I know. Um, but
definitely.
but yeah, it's just the whole him not being here that you're missing out on. It's
Yeah,
everything
it's
else
just
as well, but it's the presence of him.
yeah, the presence. And so, are you okay now to share a little bit about like what happened to Cam on that day and when
Yep.
that was? Yeah,
Yep. We are 10 years in this year.
10 years.
10 years. 5th of July, it was really, really hot. And he'd gone out with a group of his friends. Said he was going to skate park. And then halfway down, they all decided they were going to go swimming. So that's what they decided they were doing anyway. They'd walked down to where his nana lived and he'd called into his nana's house, unbeknown to us, because she never told us. And he grabbed a towel. Never told her really what he was doing, but she sort of figured he needed it because he was going somewhere wet. And then they walked, yeah, but she still never told us anything. Um,
Oh,
so then they walked down to the river, which is maybe like 2 or 3 mile. Um, and he'd only been there half an hour. Cameron had not touched the water at all. He'd sat on the side with Laurie's girlfriend, just talking, while everybody else was doing what they were doing. And then he'd stood in a line of 4 boys, and there was no, they weren't messing about. They weren't pushing and shoving each other because of where they were. He couldn't have done that. It would have been a disaster anyway. But he stood and the he got to his turn and he literally jumped off a rock into the water and instantly hit trouble. Um, his friends had said he'd come up, he'd surfaced and he'd said, help sort of thing, and then just went. Um,
wow.
there
And was
was
this a local river near you?
literally where we are, you can walk for 5 minutes and you've got a body of water.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's not something I didn't even know where this place was. It's not somewhere I've ever been. Um,
No.
I've been at the top end where the ford is for crossing it, but I've never been where these gone because they've gone and it's been so remote that
Mm.
you've got like a quarter of a mile, half a mile walk either side of the access
And
to
I
get
mean,
to
I
it.
mean back then, phones. I don't think phones were really that much accessible, were
No.
they, to kids?
I mean, they had phones, but there was no service where they were. So the kids that were there that weren't already trying to help Cameron had to go one way or the other. So two kids just separated. One went one way, one went the other, just to see who could get a signal. Um, and it was Curtis, like Cameron's brother, who I think had managed to get through to the police eventually. So yeah, and then he was stood on the side of the river, side of the water, and once he rang the police and told the police, obviously alerted them to what was happening, he rang me. And I'd just gone out in the car to sort out pack lunches and stuff. And something just didn't feel right, and I don't know why, but I drove past the shop and I parked up outside the church, and then my phone went. And Curtis just said to us, Cameron's jumped in the river. He hasn't come back up and we can't find him.
Oh,
And instantly I screamed at him and I'm like, ring the police. And I wasn't listening to what he was saying to us, and I'm like, Curtis, ring the police. And then he just said, we already have. And that's when I knew that things were going really bad. So I didn't even bother going home. I never told Sean what was happening or anything. And I drove down to Howden and I picked my father-in-law up and I asked my mother-in-law to ring Sean to let him know what was going on. And I drove down the river, and the sight of Curtis stood on the side of the river waiting for the fire service who were in front of me is something that will haunt me for the rest of my days. His face was just, you could see the horror in his face. Um, and then the fire service just whisked him off for them to be shown where they needed to be because they were half a mile away from where it was all happening. And I was left stood outside, like at the Ford because I couldn't get over. So yeah, it was like uh, I had to go home because Kyle, who was only 8 at the time, was out playing with his friends. And when I got home, there was already a policeman at my door asking us if I'd known
Oh,
what was happening, and I'd said yes, and he'd said basically park your car up and I'll take you back. And when I
oh,
parked my car up, he wouldn't let me leave the house, so I was locked in the house, stuck. So
oh, that's just awful.
yeah, in a way, I think I am glad because don't get us wrong, if I could have been there, and I say this to Sean all the time, when it's something like that, for me it felt awful because it was as if I was leaving him to do this himself. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like obviously there's nothing a lot I could have done while being there, but it
Well,
just
that's it, innit? I was just gonna
yeah.
say that, like, we can't, the professionals have got to take over,
Hmm.
and so they've
Yeah,
got to do the job, haven't they? And you just feel useless, don't you?
yeah. So we waited maybe what was it, 4.5, 5 hours before they found him. Um, Thankfully, once you've got the news that they've actually been brought home to you, obviously not in the way that they've been out, there's a little bit of relief that comes with that because it's the waiting that is horrendous. Because you,
Yeah,
but I think in a way, I mean, it was a red hot day. It was absolutely amazing day. It was really hot, and then when I was sat waiting, um, roughly about 6 o'clock, we had this really freaky shower, and it absolutely poured down. For me, that was my sign to say that I knew what I was waiting for.
yeah,
That was my sign to say, like, I know that he's coming home, but not in the way that he's meant to.
yeah,
And I don't know why I thought that, but that's immediate what I thought. I sat and I just thought, I know what's coming. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, and then like I say, 4.5, 5 hours, they'd found him, and yeah, it was just, whew.
it's mind blowing, isn't it? And a lot of disbelief, without a doubt. And
Yeah.
how difficult it is, obviously, to even take yourself back there. So do just take your time. So, what did the days and weeks after his passing feel like for you?
Do you know, I say this to Sean all the time, it was different for me because I sort of took on the role of being the strong one, so the support network for everybody else. My mum came and stayed because when something like this happens, it's like my house was all of a sudden full of people that I wouldn't normally bother with. You know,
Yeah.
family that have not spoken to me for ages sort of turned up on my doorstep, and I'm just like, yeah, you know.
Like,
Anyway,
why are you here?
yeah, you're just doing it for the clout sort of thing. I hate to say it,
Yeah,
but that's basically what it is.
yeah,
Anyway, so yeah, my mum turned up and then she stayed, and it was like you sort of sit and I went and sat outside on the morning on the step, and come 9 o'clock, I rang the doctors, I rang the dentist to cancel his appointment, I rang the school to tell them he wouldn't be in school. Um, Literally made all the phone calls I needed to make to like say that he wouldn't be where he was supposed to be in the next coming days. And
yeah,
yet everybody I spoke to, like the school was like, it's fine, Fiona, we know what's happened, don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? But it was like that I felt like that needed to be done.
yeah. Needed to be done. And
Yeah.
everybody's completely different, aren't they?
Hmm.
I
But
get
yeah,
that.
you just I don't think I'd we didn't do a great deal. It was, you're numb from it all. And you've got these kids.
I was just literally gonna say to you then, what emotions come up for you that you didn't expect, and so that numbness
Yeah.
and that kind of like on autopilot of getting shit done in it. Like, I need to do this, I've got to do this.
Yeah.
Like, you're in charge of kind of everything else, and
Everything.
then not feeling,
Yeah.
almost kind of avoiding, I guess.
That's the thing, like, because you're supporting everybody else, it's almost as if your feelings just get pushed to one side. So, you know, you've got all these younger kids that are, pardon me, who are absolutely heartbroken. Curtis is sitting, he won't talk, he won't eat. He'd never moved off the settee for like 12 hours. He just never moved. He just went mute, didn't do nothing. Kyle had turned every photo around because Kyle doted on Cameron, and vice versa. He moved all my photos, he rearranged everything that was Cameron's in one particular room so that he didn't have to look at it. And it's like you're dealing with these kids and these emotions, and a husband who's again locking himself away, and
Mm.
you're effectively left to deal with the police that were coming to the door all the time, the family liaison officer that we had that was with us for like 8 days, my mum, his mum and dad, who not really, they're not really emotional people, so they don't sort of understand when you're feeling upset. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't show
Yeah,
emotion.
yeah. Um, so yeah, you just, I don't actually think it hits you for a long time. In all fairness, I don't think I actually sat and thought about my feelings until 7 or 8 years. That's, I can honestly say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And how do you think other people kind of responded to your grief, how you were grieving? Did that help or make things a little bit more difficult?
Um, People I would normally speak to just didn't speak because they don't know what to say to you. Um, so I did have friends that didn't bother. They made no contact whatsoever. Um, but then there's people that I didn't really associate myself with. I knew of them, but I didn't really have time for them or with them or anything, that
Yeah.
were trying so hard. Like they'd come and they'd take Kyle away for a day or two. Do you know what I mean? Just take
Oh,
him out for the day. Or they'd organise things for the other kids to do. Do you know what I mean? It's like people,
yeah.
strangers effectively to me, who are now my best friends. Yet the people that were my best friends just, nah, nothing.
Oh, no,
It's,
it's
it's
crazy how that happens, isn't it? I
mm-hmm.
will say, like, throughout like my grief journey, there's a lot of people that are no longer in my world anymore.
Yeah.
And it did just it did confuse me a little bit, but then, things like that do
Mm-hmm.
make those things stand out, so to speak, don't they? Now, lovely, like, I think when, with tragedy comes that beauty of connection as well, where you, as a society, or where you live, that they all like kind of come together to support you. With kids, I think that's lovely. Is that?
Yeah. I mean, we have a good community of, you know, the first thing one of the women did, she organised to do the bench and stuff that they've got. They
Oh,
did, you know, they did all these fundraisers and stuff to raise money for the kids to support them in whatever they wanted to do. But they
yeah,
just decided that's not what they wanted. They wanted any money to go towards the bench, which was for Cam. So it went for that. So, you know, it's nice. But then you have, I hate to say it, the leeches as well, who pretend that they're doing something for you, and organise things that are supposed to go towards certain things, and it doesn't materialise. Uh,
wow.
or it does, but the money doesn't go where it's supposed to go. We had a couple of
Quite,
them.
it's quite common, is that, I've seen over years, I've seen a few people like, doing that, and then there's just nothing. Oh my God, it's so terrible.
Yeah, yeah, but it's happened. I think it happened 3 times. There was 3 people who all came to us and said, "We're going to do this. Is it all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine. Just speak to Kelly because she's organising everything else. Had nothing whatsoever to do with me. You need to speak to Kelly about it, because she organised jumpers for the funeral and all that kind of stuff."
Yeah.
So I was just saying to them, "Speak to Kelly. Make sure you tell Kelly what you're doing, whatever." And yet they just did what they were doing, and benefited themselves shamefully.
Mm.
But yeah, it happened.
That's lovely that you had matching jumpers at his funeral. With our Grace, she had like she liked pink and purple, and we'd got her like a tie-dye hoodie, so we kind of like went with that kind of theme. What theme did you go with? You saying that you had jumpers? Did they have pictures on with him?
No, well, she had them because he was always in a hoodie. Like you couldn't get him out of his Adidas striped hoodies. This was the thing. He was buried. He went to his funeral in his tracksuit. Um, but Kelly just organised like black hoodies with Cameron's name on it and his what else did they have on? I think the date. I
Oh,
can't remember, but she sorted all them out, and the amount of people, like the school kids that bought these hoodies, was unreal. There was loads
oh,
of them. It was nice, and then they all had a
yeah,
pic. There was quite a few of them had a picture at the funeral before we got there. Um, Stood up against the church and that, but it was just. I mean, there was that many people there. To be fair, that
yeah,
because it was a very big funeral.
yeah. Oh, it just sounds like you were just so loved and so popular as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always said like I see it when I do my assemblies that the last thing that I wanted to do for him that would make him proud of me and his dad would be to organise the very last day that he'd ever have on this earth, which was had to be the best day ever. So having a big funeral was essential for me.
Yeah.
Um, so it got a way bigger than we actually thought, to be fair. Because obviously Sean put a shout out for motorbikes. So we
Oh
had,
wow.
yeah, we had, hold on, there was 2,500 motorbikes
Oh my goodness.
turned up.
I've literally got goose pimply from head to
Yeah.
toe.
So we had some turn up at the house because we'd coordinated with them before. We'd walk through everything that we wanted to do, where we wanted them to go, whatnot, how the procession was going to go. So we had, I think there was 800 at our house. And I
Oh,
remember walking out and this one fella saying to us, "Do you want me to give you a lift?" And I'm like, I looked at him and he went, "Oh no, you're the mum, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." But I wouldn't. And I was like, "Don't worry about it." It was actually nice just to have a little bit of normality at that
have
point.
normal conversation, yeah.
Yeah. We had a local bus driver who held the traffic up behind all these bikers when he knew what time it was starting, so nobody could get past him, which
Wow.
was nice. But
That's lovely.
the whole town was just at a standstill because you couldn't get moved. Um,
Oh, that's just incredible. There's so much honour there, isn't there?
yeah, I think it took about 50 minutes for us to get from our house and then all the bikers to come in. It was 50 minutes. That's
Oh wow.
so, and the whole marketplace was full, the whole village was full, to be fair. So, yeah, he did get the best
Wow.
day. He got a funeral
It
fit for
did.
it.
It bloody did.
Yeah,
It's like a funeral for a king, is that?
absolutely. Yeah,
Oh, bless
loved
him.
it.
So how moving in from like the journey since then, and thank you for sharing all that because I know how difficult it is for you. Um, what would you say has helped you carry your grief, like day to day and moving forward like from then?
The main thing for me was talking about him. So when we had a few weeks of where you just obviously you're thinking about what you're going to do and whatnot, but then within a few days of like the funeral finishing, I'd said to Sean, I need to do something that's going to educate people because we had no idea um what cold water shock was until it happened. Because as parents, as we all do, you're teaching the basics as you're going about. We used to go walking all the time. So if we were near a river or anything, the kids were always told, you stay knee high and all this kind of stuff. You do your bare
Yeah,
minimum. But obviously we didn't know what cold water shock was. So I said to him, I'm going to get in touch with the council and see whether they'll help us with it. So thankfully for me, Durham County Council took it on as a campaign.
Really.
Yeah,
This is
and
kind of where I started seeing you because I was doing around the same thing. And
yeah,
you really just what you were doing was just so inspiring alongside that pain as well, and that
mhm,
you just were incredible.
yeah.
Um, you are. And do you want to share a little bit about like what cold water shock is while you're on here?
Do you know, to be totally honest, I don't think I actually know everything. You know what
No.
I mean? It's like,
It's just that shocking it that because
yeah,
obviously your body's at a certain temperature when it's hot,
yes.
and in summer the water's still so cold, isn't it?
But the
That
thing
we
with
just
Cameron was, it's like he's jumped in and instantly this cold water has stopped his heart. It's like it was an instant thing. So
Mhm.
the last word that he said, that was when his whole esophagus just closed. So it was so fast, which is a good thing because I'd hate to think that he was suffering and whatnot to
Yeah,
where he
yeah,
was. But the fact that they proved that it was an instant thing, because he didn't swallow water, he had no water in his system whatsoever, and he was in the water for 4 hours. So
wow.
we do know it was a case of in the water, out the water, gone. As brutal as that sounds, that's the only
I
way I can put
know,
it.
no, you just speak your truth,
Do you
be
know what I
honest.
mean? So that for me was a bit of it put my mind at ease that he hadn't suffered as such.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, like cold water shock is, your body can go into shock within seconds. It can be instant.
It's one of the biggest killers, isn't it, really?
Yes, and do
Over
you know
drowning.
it's not really that well known up until these last few years because now we're all
Yeah,
speaking out about it. It's always been
yeah.
put down to drowning.
I mean, the Royal Life Saving Society are incredible, aren't they? And anybody who's
Yes.
watching this, who have got younger children, teens in particular, boys,
Yeah. Yeah.
for some reason, these boys, it's like magnets. Oh, water, magnetized.
Mhm.
And they just want to go piss about and do whatever. But the Royal Life Saving Society is amazing. And they
Yeah.
do provide like packs for schools as well. So, I mean, I think it was, I'm sure it was you anyway, Fiona, who pointed me in that direction.
Well, I've worked with
And they
them as well, so
yeah. So
yeah,
they
I am in a
literally send you everything you need to do fundraising, to go into schools, to create leaflets. You just pass a PDF, send a PDF to the office, they print them off, they take them home with them.
yeah.
And in particular, it's is it June 23rd? What date is it? Water Safety Awareness Week.
There's one coming up.
Yeah, there is.
It's different
Um,
all the time, isn't
I don't
it?
know if it's yeah, it's like the
Because there's drowning
kind of
prevention week.
third to last week in June.
Well, there's drowning prevention week coming up, and then there's
Yeah.
water safety week or something.
Drowning prevention, water safety. So if you head over, what I'll do is I'll link this below the video. And if you're a teacher, if you are a parent, this is for anybody, even if you've got toddlers, there's water safety in regards to having a bath. Like
Yeah,
there's just, I mean, you
yeah,
can drown in a puddle of, if you can get your face into water and it's like that
yeah,
deep, you can.
yeah,
So I will link that actually below.
yeah. So it's like like I say, once I got in touch with the council and they set this campaign away, then it was I actually call it my therapy, me being able to go into schools and standing in front of thousands upon thousands of kids over the last few years and telling my story and telling Cam's story and using him as a form of education
Yeah.
helped me loads, especially when you go out and you go shopping and you meet up with a parent and they'll say, "Oh, my son was in your assembly the other day and he was telling us all about it." And,
Oh,
you think, lovely. And then I have had a couple of ex-students who I saw one in a school when I went back a couple of years ago and he said, I was in this assembly about 3 years ago and he said, I actually got wrong because I was messing about. And I was like, right. And he said, well, I went down the river just last week. He said, and there was some kids in the water and I told them, get out. He said, have you never
oh,
heard of
really?
Cameron? And they were like, no, I said, so I told Cameron's story to these kids and I think I've saved a life. And I was like, brilliant. That's what I love to hear.
Oh,
I
I
love to
carry
hear stuff
going
like that.
simply, honestly. It's so inspiring, and that's the thing. That's what helps you carry your grief day to day.
Yeah,
Want it putting your efforts into that, but also like keeping Cam's memory going
yeah,
as well as
yeah,
you go. I always see you like posting,
yeah,
still sharing, and also seeing you making your cakes because I know you love your cakes and your baking, don't
yeah.
you?
I did stop. I did stop after he
Yeah,
died because he was
yeah,
always like my little critic. So if something was wrong with it, he'd tell us. And then I
yeah,
thought I couldn't put my mind to them anymore. And then Sean actually said to us, Cameron loved you doing them, so
yeah.
get back into them. So I did, and then it's just gone wild. So
It has, and I'd love to get one, but we're so far away. Probably melt
yeah,
or break down. Come
but
out here,
yeah,
you dog's getting a nosy.
no,
But yeah, I love that you cake making, and it's quite arty and therapeutic, I guess.
it can
Um,
be, yeah, yeah. Not in this
yeah,
age.
but yeah, but the fact that you, even through your grief, Fiona, sit down, will you? As come to say hello.
Lovely.
Um, even throughout your grief, you ploughed yourself into something to make a difference, and we'll never know how many lives you've saved. But
As long as
thankfully,
I've done one life, that for me is mission
yeah,
accomplished. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But yeah,
100%. A lot of lives, and obviously, like you say, the word of mouth, they go on to do that as well. So it's just, and with social media, it goes even further.
yeah. I mean, the videos
No,
we did with the council, because we've obviously got a few videos out with Durham County Council as well, speaking with the kids that were with Cameron at the time. They've done a
oh,
few as well. So, and there's one of them that's used in schools, and it's you can hear a pin drop when it's on. You can
yeah, I
literally
think
hear a
is that
pin
with
drop.
is that on Royal Life Saving Society that as well? I think.
It's called.
I'll
Wait,
link the video. I'll try and find it and link the
it's on the
video
Dying to Be Cool
below.
website. It's on Durham County Council's website. It's Dying to Be Cool, isn't it? Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, that's on there. But it's like things like that that I can visually see, and it's like that was my thing for him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love that. You've done absolutely amazing with that, 100%. So what do you think didn't help? Even if it was well intentioned.
Um, do you know? I don't know. Like,
No. Like, is there something that maybe someone used to do, but it just didn't help you at all, although they meant well by it?
do you know you get people. I did have somebody who'd said to us, obviously they'd gone through grief, and she just said to me, you've just got to get on with life. Life goes on. Uh, and there was one particular phrase, and I can't remember what it is, and I always said to her, don't ever say that to me again. Don't ever say that to me
No.
again.
And
Because,
everybody's so different because I've had people around me that have grieving, and they come out with saying it, and obviously I'm like you, I completely disagree. How can you get over that? Like,
yes, that's what she said. She said, oh, you'll get over it. Don't ever say that to me again. Like,
oh
because
my God,
you will never know if I'll get over it, and I will never get over it. I might
no,
work my way around it in different ways to what
no,
and still smile. But I can smile knowing that I'd had him and I'd had him for 14 years and, knowing that like what we've done afterwards, but don't ever tell us that I will get over it because that's just never going to happen. It was
no.
rude.
Grief
I
never
found it
leaves.
rude. No.
Yeah, grief never ever leaves us ever, and anyone who says it does, they are wrong. We
Yeah.
just learn to cope with things differently.
You have to
Un
learn a whole new way of living.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And how do you think grief's changed or shaped you as a person, Fiona?
Um, do you know, I think it's actually made us more brutal. Like, I do.
Brutally honest.
Brutally honest. Yeah. I never used to be. I used to
Yeah,
be a people pleaser. And
yeah,
so if I didn't like what somebody said, I just shrugged it off. Whereas now, I just think, no, just say what I've got to say. Um,
yeah.
and it's been. bit funny with some people, but you know, the my cousin that I was always with before, Kath, we had a bit of a
Yeah.
disagreement on Christmas Eve because she said
Oh,
something and I didn't agree with her. So, we don't speak anymore. But I've always
yeah.
been that kind of person that's just like, oh, you just say what you want, it's fine. Well, it's not now.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. It's like I think that's you setting boundaries there, which is an amazing thing. And sometimes we do lose people, unfortunately. But that's just because you're being your real self. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. I think
It's sad,
sometimes though,
really, but
I think sometimes we appease people.
yeah,
It's like
it's for
we
for them, in it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And then you just get to a point where you just think, and none of this is going in my favour. So why am I doing it? Let's just
yeah.
let's just be real. So
Oh, it's that inner strength. I think that you just decide your life is too short for anybody to walk over me, and I need to try and grab those bits of joy as much as possible. It's
absolutely.
and nobody is gonna is gonna ruin that
No,
peace.
no, no. I mean, I've not spoken to my sister for over 17 years.
Oh
Um,
dear.
but she came to the funeral, and I got her back. So
Oh
we
wow.
we speak like every other day. We go walking every week. We go to the gym every week. And it's like
Oh, that's so lovely that you've
that.
rekindled after all that time.
Yeah, and it was. Do you know? I've not spoken to my dad for a long time either, and I always said if my dad had turned up at the funeral, it might have been different.
Yeah,
I might have made an effort with him because I don't believe that I should be fighting for a relationship with him. So, and he didn't, and that's fine. But because she turned up, yeah, it's sort of it's got us back together. Cameron got me and my
yeah,
sister back together effectively,
yeah,
which I'm
yeah.
very grateful for.
Oh, oh well, I'm glad. I'm really glad. And are there ways that you maybe, and this, I guess for listeners, really, this all depends on your beliefs, but it's something I heavily believe in. But are there ways that you feel that Cam's presence is around you now, even after like all this time?
No, and the last few weeks, obviously, because we've got Imogen, and there's certain things that Imogen does that is mirroring Cameron. So we've always
Really?
she looks a bit like him. She's got the look of him
Oh,
now, where she is. Um, but when she's here, she's starting to look up at the photos and say Cam. So
oh, really?
because I point them out all the time, it's like we always
Yeah,
talk about him and we always say his name when she's here and point. She looks at my phone because he's on my phone, so from day dot, she's looked at this phone and it's like now she's looking at it and looking at certain photos and looking around, realizing that there's a lot more photos of him now. Um,
yeah.
but he's in my sitting room in a box, um, because I still have him at home, and I thought I was imagining this, but she'd walked over to the box, laid her head on the top, and went, "Hiya." And I thought, oh, that's not right. But then she kissed the top and walked away. So I thought, oh,
Um,
that's just a freaky thing I've just seen. But she does it every time she's here. She's walking
oh,
over to the
really?
box, yeah, and she lies on, puts her head on top, says hiya, and kisses the top and walks away. Like,
Oh, bless her. How
that-
old is she?
she's a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but people always say like babies can sense
Yeah,
when people are
yeah.
about.
Yeah, with little ones, we just want them to kind of remember what we did about them, don't we?
Yeah, well, we've got another one on the way as well. So, and he's due, Cameron's anniversary.
Really?
Yeah, and
Oh
he's
my
going to be
God.
called Cameron. So they
Oh,
name him after
that
Cameron.
is so beautiful. It's so beautiful, is that? I mean, it's a bit bittersweet in it for you, but it's turning something so sad into something so beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did ask. They asked all of us first before they decided on a name. But Connor's like, I want to name him after Cameron. Blah blah. I was like, oh, just double check with your dad because he's the one that's a bit more emotional about things like that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, he was all right about it. So yeah, I'm going
Oh,
to around from the beginning of July just to make sure we get in amongst them dates. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we've got a little Cameron on the way.
Oh my goodness, that is just amazing. I love that for you.
I think it's
Absolutely love that
the
for
10th
you.
anniversary thing that's brought them on.
Yeah, definitely.
That's an anniversary that's going to be one to remember.
Oh, and I was just going to say then, is there anything that you do, to keep like his memory alive, or when it comes to any rituals or anniversaries, is there anything that you tend to do that helps?
Um, well, obviously we've got the bench, so we tend to. The kids generally go down, put flowers on the bench, and leave them a can of lager and stuff like that. But this year I'm getting some blue roses made, like metal ones.
Oh, oh,
So
lovely.
yeah, we're going to have them attached to the bench this
I
year.
think I seen you post about that.
Yeah, because sometimes when you go down, some of the things that people are putting down, people pinch. So I just thought, well, instead of having fake flowers, we'll just put some real flower. Blah. We'll just put some metal flowers on, so the bloke's going to come and weld them to the bench for us. So
Yeah, I love that.
yeah,
That's such a lovely idea. And
because I was wanting to do.
is the bench down near the river, is it?
No, no, it's at the skate park.
All right, okay. Oh, the skate
The
park,
skate
right,
park,
okay.
yeah. Um, yeah, because obviously that's where we love to spend all of his time. So that was
Yeah.
the best place for it. So yeah,
Oh, I
that's
love
what
that.
it is.
That's such a lovely way to honour him.
Yeah,
So you've
and
got a baby on the way and a bench.
I know. I mean, the bench has got everything of Cameron's on it. It's the local sculpture bloke came and actually took Cameron's scooter from the shed, and he replicated this scooter down to a T, and put it on the bench.
So if Cam was here right now, what would you want to say to him?
I'd probably be telling him off for something, to be honest. So
I
I
love
would.
that.
Yeah, I would. I'd probably be telling him off for something. Um, I don't know. Like, I do wonder what he would have turned into, uh,
Yeah.
or who he would have been with. Um, but I don't know. I'd love
Mm.
to think I knew what I was going to say, but I honestly couldn't tell you.
Oh,
Um,
well, what do you think that he'd want to say to you?
I'd like to think he was proud of us, actually. You know what I
Definitely.
mean? I
Yeah.
do. I think, yeah,
It's been a long 10 years for your love.
it has. But it doesn't even feel like 10 years.
Oh,
It's the fastest 10 years I've ever experienced in my life.
yeah, I bet it is, definitely.
Yeah.
Without a bloody doubt. And if there's somebody listening to your story who's maybe lost a child or someone that they just deeply love, maybe in similar circumstances or just lost a child, what would you want to let them know?
Do you know, after speaking to a few families myself who've gone through the same thing, and I've had to say to a couple, if you get offered any help, take any help that's offered. You know what I mean? If I, d- do you know, I don't know. There's so many times that people will offer you help, and you just go, no, I'm all right, I'm all right, I'll manage, I'll manage.
Yeah,
Don't be one of them. Take any help that's offered to you, because chances are you're never going to get it again. Um,
yeah,
so take it while it's there. But you've got to take your journey a little bit slower than what you potentially want to. I didn't, and I think sometimes I do regret not being able to sit down and really think about, like, my depth of the grief that I
yeah,
did eventually go through after 8 years, because like I say, it took me 8 years before I actually broke down. Um, you have your little bit to cry in the shower and stuff like that, but really, like, sitting crying, I didn't do it until we were 8 years in. Um,
wow.
so for me, I'd say to anybody, if you are going through it, take your time, let your grief come out, don't hold it in. Because
Hmm.
I did actually think talking about him was my therapy, in a way it was, because it was easy for me to talk about him, easier
Yeah,
for me to talk about him than his dad, because I was doing it every day and talking to kids every day. But that's not how my that wasn't I. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean, definitely. I definitely
Yeah.
do, love.
But I do
And it's
think,
just going at your own pace. I think maybe you regret not just slowing down and feeling.
yeah, probably
Yeah,
would. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I didn't slow down. I didn't take enough time for myself because I think by the time I got to where I was actually feeling it, people were just sort of like, time's passed. You shouldn't be feeling like that now. Do you know, because my
no,
feelings were sort of pushed to a side and just think, you shouldn't be feeling like that now. It's 8 years down the line. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So don't hide your feelings. Let your feelings come out. And if you don't feel like crying or grieving or anything in your first couple of years, that's fine. But at least just tell somebody that it's not hit you yet, or you don't know how to express it yet. It'll
yeah,
come out
exactly.
eventually, but people need to understand that we all have different rates of grief.
Yeah, well, there's no bloody guidebook on it, is there? And the grief process is completely different for everybody.
Yeah,
You can just go into all the process of grief is crazy.
yeah.
It's not like a fixed process. It can go on for years.
No, not at all.
So yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. And what's one thing you do that helps support you emotionally when those waves of grief do hit, or from the past, what helps you in those moments?
I walk.
I
I'll
love
put my
walking.
shoes
I love
on and
walking.
I will go walking. And I do sometimes get wrong because I'll go out at 4 o'clock and I might not be back till 8.
Yeah.
But I tend to walk a long way every day. And I talk to myself while I'm doing it. And you're walking along and there's like little butterflies. There's butterflies flying around you, and you're like, I know you're following us. I know you're coming with us. Do you know what I
I love
mean? And
that.
yeah, I do. That's what I think. I was like, you get this one butterfly that's just like flying around all the time, and you think he's coming with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do it. I love doing stuff like I just go with dogs in the morning, but I'm like morning to
Yeah.
squirrels and that. But I
Because
love
we,
that those little
because I
signs.
mean, we did have like basically the day after he died, there was a butterfly flying around my conservatory. And it
Uh,
just wouldn't go out. And I was trying to get into his phone. I couldn't get into his phone because I didn't know the code or anything. So I'd sat, and it took us about a day, and this butterfly was just flying around the house. And then something pinged in my head. I typed this code in. The code come on, the phone come on. This butterfly went.
wow. Oh my
So,
goodness.
so I always,
There,
yeah,
there's his presence that you
yeah,
were like, I don't know. There you go.
yeah, there you go. I've just brought
I
it to
love
you, now I
that.
can go. Yeah. But yeah,
Oh,
I'd love to walk, so that's my
yeah.
way.
Yeah, nature's been amazing for me personally. I never used to do, but now I'd rather anything if I feel a bit shitty or I'm a bit I just throw my
Hmm.
shoes on and I'm like out the
Yeah,
door.
yeah. I maybe shouldn't walk as far as I do, but you know, I mean, like we did 12 miles yesterday, so
Oh wow, lovely. I love that.
yeah,
It's
love
amazing.
it. Yeah,
Oh well, thank you so much,
no
Fiona, for
problem.
coming on here and just sharing camp with us today, and your
Yeah,
words, your love, and your courage. I think most of all,
yeah,
will definitely ripple out and just hold so many people who just really need to hear that they're not alone on their journeys, because they're not, and you do feel that, don't you, at time
you
very
do, yeah,
much, even when you're
yeah,
with somebody. Like I felt so alone, and I know you mentioned that you just kind of powered through, didn't you?
yeah,
And so thank you so much for sharing. And I'm no doubt that anybody can like comment on this if you like, and check out the links that I have added in here. But this space was created just for stories like yours, Fiona. So stories full of, yes, heartbreak, but also full of memory and connection and inspiration and love that never ends. And his memory will never end. And especially with all the water safety and everything that you got the ball rolling for. And it was just so inspiring to see. Thank you
yeah,
so much for coming on today. I appreciate you.
no problem.
Thank you for joining us today and for witnessing this story with so much compassion. If this episode stirred anything within you, it's okay. But do please take a moment just to breathe, just to pause, to ground yourself and honour whatever's come up. Grief does not follow a rule book. If it shows up, that's okay. Yeah, it can come in waves, it can come in whispers, and it sometimes can be the loudest in silence. And you, just as you are doing enough. And if you need extra support, I always recommend reaching out to the places like in the UK, we have cruise bereavement support, childhood bereavement UK, or simply speaking to somebody that you trust, or a therapist or a counsellor. You don't have to carry this alone. You can find more free support and conversations and connections inside my graceful healing community over on Facebook. The link is in the notes, in the intro notes, so do check that out. And if you'd like a gentle companion for your own journey, you can download my free guide, 7 Gentle Practices to Navigating Grief Gracefully, which is also linked. Okay. So until next time, take care of your heart and remember healing isn't about moving on. It's about learning to carry love and loss side by side, and joy will make its way to you. Okay, so let's keep healing out loud together. Lots of love.